Oh, bam!
Ladies and gentlemen, listen to them tearing the fucking house down.
Oh my God!
Best podcast house band in the business, bar none.
Tightest rhythm section.
Welcome back for another exciting edition of the Dinner in Hell podcast, the show where two amateur historians talk about the atrocious underbelly of history. I am one of your co-hosts, Brad the Impaler, and with me, as always, Ron Maiden Esquire.
That's right. Everyone knows that birth name given every time. You always catch me off guard, and I'm always like, oh, yeah.
Can you believe this audience tonight here in the studio? Unreal.
They're ready for an execution method.
Yeah, they made it here. They braved the weather. We've had some just dog shit winter up here.
When the people that spectate the program, the actual recording broadcast, when they get their tickets, they don't know what the topic's going to be until they walk in and get their seat. And then today, lucky them, execution method.
Yep, we're kicking it old school this week.
Back in the pain game.
Again, for like a 12th time.
That's right.
We're getting pretty familiar with the pain game.
Our 4th episode was called Back in the Pain Game about impalement.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good episode.
Episode number 4. I'd look into that one.
After this episode, seek out our 4th episode. Play it, enjoy it, share it, worship it.
Well, and speaking of the pain game, which aspect of the pain game are we digging into in this installment?
Today, we discuss an execution method done by many different regions around this great globe. A method inspired by cartoons.
We are talking about boiling to death.
Death by boiling.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the cartoons where you'd have the headhunters, like all around a guy with a pot, or Bugs Bunny or whatever, putting up carrots.
Man, we're Bugs Bunny strong. With us, like we mentioned Bugs Bunny on the Valentine's episode.
I don't think we brought him up again during the last program, but I figured we'd start off strong, hit him with some more bugs. Boiling to death, or death by boiling, is a method of execution by which the victim would be immersed in some sort of boiling liquid. There are prominent examples of death by boiling found predominantly in European and at least one in Asian history.
Listen, before you go any further, you mentioned the other countries, the international Asia. You reminded me of something. We've got some new countries that listen to our podcast.
Oh, I always love it when I get this news.
My good, this is awesome. Puerto Rico. I thought they've listened before, but we had people in Puerto Rico listen to us a lot.
Puerto Rico, I'm glad that you have power.
Yeah.
I wish that people didn't fuck up so hard and treat their colonial possessions so badly. Thank you for checking in.
Thanks for listening to us while you rebuild shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Also, Austria. I remember one time we did a Dinner in Hell game show, and I asked you a trivia question. What country listened to Hitler episode more, Austria or like Canada or something?
Mm-hmm.
And it was Canada, because Austria never listened to us until this week.
Well, let me be the first to say, Dankeschön, Österreich.
Man, that was really sweet of you to welcome them to your family. Is that
just said thank you?
I know. I'm just kidding.
Thank you beautifully.
And listen, another freaking island nation listened to us. Haiti.
Welcome to the Dinner in Hell family.
Best place to get Haitian food.
Yes, I'm very fond of rebellions that you've had in your past. They're interesting to me. You should be proud of those.
Thanks for listening to us while you rebuild as well. Their island was just torn apart by what, an earthquake?
Yeah.
They're just recovering.
Thank you very much.
Who do you think is listening to us in like Austria or like, you know, some of these other Belgium or like, you know, they listen to us too?
Well, what I imagine is that our entire audience are just the smartest people in whatever country they live in, right?
I'm
Just
sure
like-
they're intelligent.
Yeah, the smartest and best inside. The quality of the character of Dinner in Hell listeners is superior to the inherent value of non-Dinner in Hell listeners. It's a fact of it's science, honestly, and you can't argue with it. And I won't hear any argument against that. Frankly.
So I was thinking, would it be like a student that's from America that's living there?
Could be. It could be a fan of history event or, dare I say, comedy of any stripe.
You know, like when Japan listens, like they listen to, like, is it a Japanese person that speaks English listening?
It might be
Japan?
people. It might be people practicing their English skills.
Right.
It could be. I don't know. How fucking wrong am I? You could take the opportunity to tweet in at us at Dinner and Hell Pod and let us know
Yeah.
what you're like, because now I'm interested. Before, you were just a statistic to me.
Yeah. Oh, and also American listeners, if you're in Mountain View, California or Houston, Texas, we can be reached on all social that's not all social besides Instagram.
Yeah, I'm sure you got shit we'd like to hear. We got a request recently to cover
Check
some
in.
of the colonial treatment that Puerto Rico received, and we're definitely going to do that. So if you have ideas, we'll take them.
We have been someone also brought up the Iceman. Was he a hitman that would kill for the mob?
I think so. I believe you're referring to Richard Kuklinski.
Him.
Yeah, I think that's his name. Yeah, he
was
could
brought up
go
too.
on the list for sure. Yeah,
Okay. So let's talk about this boiling to death and what it's like to actually be boiled alive.
But yeah, I figure why not start off with what it's like? I mean, if you were sentenced to this, here is what you would experience. A lot of people seem to have some understanding of boiling or burning that like it's not that painful or it won't be painful for the entire time. Primarily allow me to disabuse you of that, because if you are boiled to death, you will feel it the whole time.
What if you're flash boiled? Did you say that?
It might be.
Like a lobster?
It might be a little bit less horrible if you're put into already boiling liquid, because you might go into shock and die quicker or less conscious of it. If you are put in and then the liquid is heated up, unfortunately, with your body being able to acclimate to the heat to some degree, shock never enters into it, and you'd be entirely present for the entire experience.
Oh my God. You ever done a hot tub?
Yes,
Or a
I've
hotel
also
pool?
done hot tubs that are too fucking hot, too.
Like a
and that's
hotel?
like nothing even compared to this.
I
I mean, you're talking a bare minimum of boil is information that I definitely should have looked up what temperature that is before we started recording this show. Whoops.
it's 100 degrees.
The Celsius. We're talking 100 degrees Celsius. This is for international listeners who use the proper metric system. I'm reverting to this Fahrenheit nonsense.
That's Dinner in Hell.
Yeah,
Science.
I am making an ideological stand, not covering for not knowing what the boiling point of water is in Fahrenheit.
It's right. Who cares about Fahrenheit anymore?
Yeah, Celsius is where it's at.
Fahrenheit is out. Celsius is in.
Yeah, so this process in which you would be in upwards of 100 degrees Celsius boiling water or other material.
What do you mean by that?
Well, different materials would have different boiling points.
Melted chocolate fondue,
Ooh, yeah.
like human fondue, and then they freaking put a little cookie in it. Be like chocolate melted human fondue cookie.
Well, you've heard of people saying death by chocolate, right?
Right.
Where do you think they got it from?
Boom, paler. Boom, brother.
Well, this process, it can last minutes to hours.
hours because they crank it up like one lot. Oh, okay, add some sticks. Like it gets a little bit hotter, 5 degrees at a time. Oof. That's right. We're going 5 degrees at a time there. You should never have did the treason.
There is one other hope of sort of quick coup de grace, and that is if you are submerged immediately in already boiling liquid, it is possible for your brain to flash boil, in which case you will then be dead and thus unable to experience pain.
So what we're saying is if we were to go back in time, we'd be like, look, this is what you want to do. Put your head
first.
You want to take your head, go down at the very core of the heat. Flash boil your own brain.
Honestly,
you're welcome.
Like,
who are you?
I don't know. This one's starting to give me. It didn't while I was researching it, but this one's starting to give me flashes of Ling Chi here.
Oh, let's have fun. Don't let Ling Chi get you down. Let Ling Chi be in the past.
There's a passage in a favorite book of mine called "Haunted" by Chuck Palahniuk, where it describes a gentleman jump in after his dog who had fallen into a hot spring.
Just let that dog go because that dog's gone.
Yeah, and it's
and you can be sad about it, but let it go.
Yeah,
because we're talking about lives here.
Yeah, this dude didn't let it go, and I'm talking about a work of fiction here. But Palahniuk, in my opinion, is an effective writer emotionally, and it's getting me.
Did he write Marley and Me? Too. Owen Wilson running around with his Labrador. Come on, boy. Stop shitting all over the carpet, you son of a bitch.
Wow.
Isn't Marley and Me like, isn't the dog like bad, but they love it?
And then it dies.
Something like that. Yeah, I never read it. I'm just like, sometimes I just hear about movies and I project what I think the movie is. And
I don't think that one was Chuck Palahniuk. That could have been.
What's it called? Did he also write White Fang? He writes dog books, right? He's the famous dog story man.
Famous dog writer.
Yeah, he
actually is a dog.
He pulls at your. You know how people are reincarnated into dogs? This dog was reincarnated to him.
Yeah, they put this weird little helmet on him, and it just extracts the stories from his mind.
He's like, there needs to be more dog relationship stories in the world.
Heartbreaking ones at that.
Like, why are you humping my leg? Whoa, sorry.
Sometimes takes over.
By the way, coup de grace. That's your like little key. I think if Brad the ever freaking had his own production company, you know, like Jimmy Kimmel's like Jack Hall at the end, he'd be like Jack Hall, or like, you know, I'm a lawyer, TMZ. Yours could be like coup de grace.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, it'd be like, that's your production company, coup de grace Productions. That's what, you know, Brad the Impaler had his hands involved in it. You know, it's quality.
Mine would be like classy though. It wouldn't be like corny like that Jack Hole shit.
Right.
It would just be subtle.
Like, sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.
Yeah, that's a classy one.
Right.
I don't know why it is, but it is.
Dick. Remember that?
It was like, yeah, in the end of like fucking Inspector Gadget or whatever.
Dick. It's like, it's DIC.
Like
what the
dick.
fuck?
It says dick.
It says dick. You Canadian piece. We're from Michigan, so yeah.
Get a lot of Canadian broadcasting programs up there.
Canada's right across the river from us. We're a border community.
Like 400 yards away.
We live on the border of America, you know that?
That's why it takes so fucking long to get anywhere, because there's only 3 directions we can go. No freeway comes close.
Brad and I both live in cities that are international borders.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So many goddamn terrorists swimming over. We have to like have people on watch all the time. It sucks.
Yeah, we
need a wall is what we need.
We can see Canada from the window at the studio here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All the pictures of Detroit are taken from right across the river in Windsor, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So back to getting boiled. What you want to do is boil your brain, flash boil it.
Yeah, so if you can't make that happen, well, you know what happens when something gets boiled. It cooks. You're no different. Your skin, muscles, organs, all cook. Well done. Real gross.
What is it called when you poach an egg? Are you boiling it or steaming it?
I think you're boiling it because you just drop it. You crack it right into the water, don't you?
Oh, and then you probably strain it.
Yeah, you just scoop it out.
So it's a hard-boiled egg out of the shell, basically.
No, I think
Flash
with a
boiled.
poached egg, you just have boiling water, and then you just crack an egg into the boiling water.
Oh, it's flash cooked. Like,
Yeah.
ping. That's probably pretty cool to watch.
I could be talking out of my ass.
I don't know either.
I like to make eggs in a
Dinner-
nest,
dinner in
where you
hell.
cut a little hole out of the bread, and then you coat it in butter, and then you crack the egg into there.
Okay.
Put a little bacon fat in the middle.
When is Dinner in Hell
Mwah.
Assumptions ever gonna be created? Who knows? You have to stay tuned. One day you'll hear a drop. It'll be like Dinner in Hell Assumptions.
I assume it'll happen at some point in the future. Dinner and Hell Assumptions.
We assume things, people. And by the way, again, we're amateur.
Yeah,
so,
this is
boom.
not our full-time job.
Legally, we can say what the fuck we want for amateurs. Got it?
You should really know better. So what's next? Well, you are conscious for this entire experience for the most part. People who have witnessed others falling into boiling sewers or hot springs, like I mentioned, report the victim screaming for help and trying to escape the whole time.
Oh, man, that's awful.
At some point, you would also begin to smell yourself cooking.
Unless you
Boil that brain.
pinch your nose shut
Yeah, that'll probably help, but
and your hand won't be in the boiling water because it'll be out of the water.
yeah.
So you might as well pinch.
It's much better.
So
Sounds
Dinner in
like
Hell-
a much better situation.
Dinner in Hell tip: if you're going to be boiled to death,
Bring some nose clips.
In your
when
hand?
you're going swimming and you're 7 years old.
and
Dork.
if you're allowed to have your hands free and out of the boiling, at least have one covering your nostrils so you don't smell yourself cooking. Go out with style.
If you got your hands free, pull one of your murderers in with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one hand flips off. One hand flips everyone off. The other hand pinches your nostril
No,
shut.
I'm saying grab them, put them into the boiling water
No.
with you.
They're at
Or
a safe
escape.
distance. They're at a
There's
safe distance, man. Yeah.
You're on like a pulley.
They're all
So,
watching you because they have to remember they take a little fondue out of you, a little foreshadow.
Another interesting little tidbit about this process is the pain would start, in fact, even before you touched the liquid you were being burned in. If it was already heated up, in almost every case, the steam itself would be hot enough to cause serious burns.
Right.
And so before you even get put in, it's already like roasting your ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm a real wuss when it comes to hot things and my hands touching it. I talked about this, my hands burning when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I do noodles with the colander or whatever, like the little strainer, I freaking have 2 of them it's on. I don't know. Some people don't do that, but I can't
Dude,
deal
I
with
go even further than you. I go even further than you do. Every
you
time
put on a
I
fireman jacket,
not that far. Every time I cook noodles and I have to strain them,
hockey equipment.
I make sure I clean the whole sink first because I just set it in the sink alone and just like stand back and dump the whole thing into it.
Mine's handheld. Mine,
Oh.
I have to hold it with my hand. So that's why I don't have it like on a base.
Oh, I wouldn't even do that. You need to get.
I got 2 oven mitts, man. I'm good. I'm just saying. That's
Ugh.
where I'm at with my sensitivity.
I wouldn't want to be if I'm like when I make stuffing, I like to use the larger salad fork to fluff it when it's done because if my hand's close with like a regular little dinner fork, it hurts my little hands.
And some of our listeners, like maybe our Australian listeners that are probably rugby athletes, they're probably wondering, they're probably questioning whether or not you and I are actually men. And the answer is yes, we are men. Even though we are talking like this, some people out there are like, what the hell? Who are these 2 pansies?
Yeah, I got
I bare hand firewood when I move the fire around.
I got a big old beard. It's usually a dead giveaway. Not always, though. Not always.
Yeah, bearded lady. Anyways, I don't know what I just said. I'm drunk, I'll be honest.
Yeah, breathing the steam in that's burning the hell out of you
Yeah.
will literally burn the inside of your lungs and
Yeah.
your, fucking bronchial tubes and shit. All that's getting toasted.
Yep.
Like fucking broccoli, son.
Make me throw up. I hate broccoli.
I forgot.
The smell
I'm
of
sorry.
steamed broccoli makes me dry heave.
Cauliflower.
All of any steamed vegetable makes me gag. And then fists clench. Let's move on.
Now, the pain will eventually start to subside, but this isn't going to be quick. This is going to be when you're approaching death. The nerves will die, but at this point, when it's reached that, your fat is beginning to render from your body. This, as you can imagine, will really fuck up your blood flow when your flesh is basically dissolving.
Like when you cook sausage or ground beef, you can see the white fat in it. And then as it cooks, you have the greasy puddle and no more white. That's what we're talking about.
that's
The
where that
fat in your
comes from.
body turns into just oil, thin oil, right?
Yeah.
It turns in, yeah.
Yeah.
You also render fat to make soap. Have you ever done that?
I've never made any soap or...
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You can get fat from the butcher, render it to make soap. It smells so awful. Ugh. Good Lord. And if you're listening because you get the hashtag homemade soap makers hashtag, welcome.
Yeah, I'm sure you will find nothing else useful to that hobby for the remainder of the episode.
Yeah. But
welcome aboard.
They came here to hear a mention of homemade soap
And we just
and they
hit you with it.
stayed for the murder.
I assume anyone who makes homemade soap is also tangentially at least into murder.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, what I'm talking about is basically your body, to put this scientifically, gooifying.
Yep. Fall off the bone. Just falls off.
Yeah, the skin may get nice and crispy.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's boiled. Nothing's crispy boiled unless it's in oil. If we're talking oil, then we're talking a nice, like deep fried turkey. Nice, crusty outer skin.
Yeah, peeling back in places because they don't give a shit if you're done or not. They give a shit if you're dead or not, and they'll probably leave you in there way too long. You'll be desiccated, horrible mess.
Little pro tip, Dinner in Hell pro tip. If you're going to be executed boiled in oil, and you know they're probably going to eat some of the oil or whatever that is afterwards, why not roll around in a nice rub? Season it up. You're going anyways.
Yeah,
Go out with a good flavor.
good aroma.
With a nice crust.
Jesus Christ. Now, I've made the mistake of, again, mentioning something along the lines of escape earlier in this description. And the reason that this is a mistake is once you touch the boiling liquid, you're done. It may take a couple hours after that, but it's over. There is no escaping. There is no surviving.
So if they took you and went bloop and pulled you right back out,
That's probably, you've got third degree burns, like all your skin's gonna go already from that. Yeah.
and you'll die
Yeah.
like in hours or after your infection or
I mean, they have trouble keeping people who get severely burned alive today. In like the 14th and 15th century, I imagine they couldn't do shit except just watch you die.
when I was a kid, we were into like hood rat shit. We did bad stuff. Me and my friend got in this fight late at night in this park. He ended up stabbing a guy. It got intense. We're on the run. We freaking shacked out in this old abandoned church. Stayed there for a while. Ate, canned food from the grocery store. We dyed our hair blonde because they were looking for two dark-haired boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I used to write poems all the time. I used to read them to them. One day we were like heading out of there, and we saw this church on fire with a bunch of kids in there. And my friend, we went in there to save them, but Nope. But Johnny didn't make it. Johnny, the roof collapsed. And Johnny burned up. And Johnny's in the hospital, burned up. No. So, and the story is that my friend, I lost a friend, Johnny. And he told me to stay gold.
50s was a great time to be a kid.
So yeah, my friend died, 3rd-degree burns back in I think it was 51.
That's a shame. Now, would you say that you have you stayed gold?
To be honest, no. Sometimes,
but sometimes I think you've elevated to platinum.
I have had my gold moments.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of in and out of like brass, copper, like down, not quite silver, not quite consistent copper, more like a brassy alloy, like.
Yeah, I get you. I'm there.
I've tried to be gold. I wish I was gold for Johnny and Dally and Soda Pop and 2-Bit and some of the Socias.
Fuck them.
Like Leave Garrett and shit. But hey, anyways, so we've talked about, basically, we've discussed every in and out of the process of being boiled to death.
Almost.
I mean, we're about to begin.
There is one
stories of it, right?
There is one other aspect of it which makes escape impossible.
Okay.
Is the steam alone, and definitely the liquid would almost certainly immediately boil your eyes. And again, this is something that if you were to research this alongside with our staff, you might see some pictures of.
Boiled eyes that
just white. They just go completely white. There's no pupil, there's no iris, there's no nothing. It's just like pure cloudiness.
And
that shit doesn't go away. As soon as you're that close to like that boiling, you're blind now. So even if you escape, even if you're somehow to climb out, not only would you be dying in a couple hours because of how severe the burns on you would be, you'd also be blind for that entire experience.
Growing up, there was a kid that I knew that his eyes would go all white, but it turned like he wasn't boiled alive or anything, but he actually was just a wog. He was the 3-eyed raven, he told me. So we were like, okay.
I know him too, but he can be pretty fucking hard to have a conversation with, man.
Okay, he goes, you're that fucking 3-eyed raven, stupid. Like, everyone was like, shut up about the thing. And his eyes would roll back, and all of a sudden, Hordor would be like, what's up, dude?
Yeah. You want to fuck around?
Hey!
Square up.
Saying other things but the word Hordor. Like, hey! It's me! Hold the door, bro! What? Never mind. That's a foreshadow, man. Sorry if you haven't watched Game of Thrones all the way through yet.
You should.
It's only been years since the Hordor episode.
Feels like it's been years since the last fucking new episode.
You know, I get a lot of feedback from listeners saying how they love how we never get sidetracked.
Yeah. What episodes are they listening to? Yeah, but yeah, now we're done. Now we're done with the description. I just wanted to make sure I slid that last little killer in there. The bulk of the boiling alive history that we can point to is British. And a large proportion of these boilings can be attributed directly to Henry VIII. 1531, the 9th statute goes into effect, which officially sanctions death by boiling as an execution method. And in the impetus for this decision, officially making boiling how it's done to send a message, lies in a poisoning committed by a man named Richard Roos. Now, this dude was the cook for the Bishop of Rochester by the name of John Fisher. Roos served some poison porridge up, which resulted in 2 deaths, though not the bishop, who we assume is the target, but did not have an appetite for gruel that day, oddly. And Roos was arrested immediately for the crime.
Oh, now I'm hungry for porridge.
You want some nice gruel?
Yeah, only if it's peas porridge.
I don't think I've ever had porridge.
Porridge is like oatmeal, I think.
then I'm not. I
Something
would
like
not
that.
be a fan of porridge.
Porridge. Don't you remember little girl that fell asleep in the Three Bears, Goldilocks?
Yeah, I'm
She was
aware
eating
of
the porridge.
I'm aware of porridge. I don't ever want porridge.
Yeah, they're eating their. Well, this porridge is too hot. This porridge is too cold. This porridge is perfect.
How is there porridge that's too hot when nobody's home?
It's on a freaking hot plate.
Oh,
You gotta
that's
think.
very irresponsible of them to leave going when nobody's home.
There's
I'm
a
sorry.
little tea candle under it, like at a catering. It says, yeah, it's like that. It's controlled. It's a controlled environment.
controlled burn.
These bears were on top of their shit.
Well, bears are prominent for fire safety.
These
so we assume, they're probably on. They know more than I do.
These
Who am
bears
I
were
judging.
They were evolved. They had beds. Okay, these didn't just sleep on like caves. They had like homes, beds, porridge, and a table, chairs. These were not normal bears, man. These were special bears.
Yeah, they probably got post-grad degrees. I don't know. Well, after a little time on the rack, Roos confessed to putting some powders given to him by a stranger, claiming they were laxatives, and the whole thing was just a silly prank.
Oh, I was just messing with you guys.
Yeah. Well, 2 people did die, so something had to happen to him, so they passed that law so they could boil him to make an example out of poisoners.
What you said? 2 people died, but 1 guy did not.
Well, the bishop was the target.
Yeah.
He didn't die. Because he was like, I'm fucking sick of gruel. I don't want to eat it. And
Yeah.
the guy's like, oh, man.
That's like he's a lot like you, BT.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Smart guy.
You 2 are kind of. He's like he wasn't in the mood for gruel either. Wonder if you have a little bishop,
John
in your,
Fisher?
in your family tree.
I'm not aware of it.
You'd be a good bishop.
I don't think so. For the world, maybe, but not from my boss's perspective. An eyewitness to this execution described it thusly. He roared mighty loud, and women who were big with child did feel sick at the sight of what they saw, and were carried away half dead. And other men and women did not seem frightened by the boiling alive, but would prefer to see the headsman at his work.
Yeah, like you know what? The thing with the headsman, with the thing he does, is it's quick, it's quiet, a head falls in a basket, everyone goes home, we have dinner.
It's got
With
a
the
big,
boiling-
exciting climax.
Yeah, and there's the speech. The boiling is the screams and the smells, and then guess what? We got a pot of porridge on the stove at home waiting. We get home, we don't want to eat that.
No.
We want nothing from cattle.
Yeah, it's a shame. They just want to see the headsman at work. The funny thing about all this, though, is that the person who set up the assassination in the first place was probably the king, Henry VIII. John Fisher was a loud critic of his attempts to divorce his first queen. Henry would later execute and martyr John Fisher for not recognizing him as the top Christian and joining the Anglican Church. He stayed Catholic. So later on, John Fisher died anyways at the hands of this king who was ostensibly defending him by punishing his poisoner so severely.
I think this is our first king. Henry.
Oh, we've talked about all kinds of kings.
King Henry's?
This is probably the first King Henry.
Yeah.
I think so. There's probably plenty of fucked up shit in British history we'll get to. Well, I know it, matter of fact there is, but
Jeopardy the other day, the question was like, so-and-so is built his recognition by defeating this Carthaginian. And I was like, who is Hannibal? And they were like, who's Hannibal? That's right. I was like, psst, dinner in hell knowledge, bitch.
crushing it.
So, Brad, who is prescribed this death sentence?
Well, like Richard Roos represents, death by boiling is handed out to poisoners.
Right.
Yeah, this is also, as you may have guessed, for all these horrible crimes, classified as high treason.
Oh, man, just like not clapping at a State of the Union address or State of the Nation, whatever. That's reportedly treason as well. So you can be boiled to death for not clapping. Woo!
I mean, this boiling also spread all the way across the rest of Europe. I mean, let's go back to the HRE. There, boiling death was prescribed for coin forgers. I mean, it was also the sentence given to a man in Nuremberg in 1392 for having raped and murdered his own mother. So
They were doing that back then? We haven't done a show on him yet? 1392 Nightmare?
yeah, but I don't know if we could get any more out of it.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Holy Roman Empire not taking kindly to coin forgers or obscene murderers.
Yeah.
It also was meted out to swindlers and counterfeiters. I mean, they boiled somebody as late as 1637.
Holy
HRE.
shit. I'm
Yeah.
thinking that's probably Grant as the president then. And he's probably storming the Normandy.
Yeah, that was the year, I think.
1630, yeah.
In England, only one female poisoner ever was subject to boiling, but this is kind of rare in that it's an equal opportunity weird execution. Usually it's one or the other, mostly men.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one, everybody gets it. Margaret Davy, 1542, she got boiled alive.
She was a poisoner, correct?
Yep.
Unlike Locusta the poisoner, who we on episode 53.
Mm-hmm.
She was a poisoner, but her death sentence was apparently to have the giraffe have sex with her until she's dead against her will. We'll describe it that way.
Don't poison people. You get real weird executions if you do, I guess should be the
But I've looked into it a little bit deeper. I went a little deep, and it said that she was executed at the Colosseum public execution. It was not that. Doesn't seem likely.
Yeah, I think we said that on the episode.
Okay. We came clean with that.
It was a possibility.
That it was fake. Okay.
But I don't understand if they would have, even if they would have done that, that would have taken place at the Colosseum in public.
Oh my God. People have to watch a giraffe the giraffe's
Yeah, of course they would have done that in public. All of these were in public.
I thought they were in some dungeon or something. Bring the giraffe in here.
For the tortures, yes. For the murders, no. The reason they have these horrible murders is because they want you to be terrified of being a coin forger or a poisoner. So they want to make sure everybody sees this shit.
Lucusa's dragged into the freaking execution chamber, and she sees Nero sitting there with a bowl of grapes. She's like, "Oh shit!" She's chained down to the ground, and all of a sudden, you hear the clip clop of a giraffe coming down the stone freaking pathway,
which would usually be charming.
Yeah, you think, "Oh, we're getting fruit." I think fruit stripes gum, and I think Toys R Us.
That's a zebra. Fruit stripes is a zebra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then Toys R Us is what I think.
That gum always tasted so good, but the flavor is gone instantly.
Yeah, 1, 2, gone.
Yeah,
yeah. Back to female poisoner being boiled to death. Yeah. So, if you want to hear more about poisoners, we did one on Locusta.
53, good episode.
Episode 53.
Scottish history is not free of boiling by any means.
Can you do that Scottish accent, please? I mean, Jesus, you're blessed with the gift of freaking dialects.
I'm not super confident in these.
Oh, there's a good deal of... Just kidding.
There's a good deal of boiling in Scottish history as well.
There you go.
In 1222, the Bishop of Caithness, Adam of Melrose... That was bad.
Okay.
And a monk named Serlo were apprehended by angry farmers. They were pissed about the amount and I guess you would say the attitude the bishop had while they were collecting their taxes. Laddie. They boiled Adam of Melrose and Serlo alive. See, in Scottish history, it's reversed. It's a bunch of people will get around and basically lynch one of their social betters by boiling them rather than the up top boiling them to terrify the rest of the normies.
It's we got you now, you son of a bitch. You smell that? That's the kettle warming up.
Mm-hmm. In 13... Well, for that boiling of Adam of Melrose and the monk Serlo, up to 400 people may have been later executed for that boiling. So I hope it was worth it. Holy shit.
Like, do you remember that time they boiled that guy? Yeah, I remember that. I was there.
They basically like came and wiped out a village of us after that.
Like they're out there hunting the people that were there. You know, like, hey, you remember that? Do you remember that? Yeah, I was there. You were there? And you let it go on? Yeah.
Come with me.
Slice the throat in an alley.
1321, a nobleman by the name of William de Sewles, who had a plot against Robert the Bruce, was reputed to be a sorcerer who had communed with evil spirits. They probably boiled him more for the conspiracy against Robert the Bruce, though.
William de Sewles, which you could actually pronounce soulless. It's spelled like soulless with only one S at the end.
Yeah.
Sorcerer, soulless.
I don't know. I wouldn't have boiled him. I would have been like, teach me how to commune with evil spirits, please.
I want to learn from you and your ways, the Force.
Nope, but people didn't know what a resource they had. They could have accessed the spirit realm.
Right.
Ridiculous. They boiled him, squandering that resource.
Should have been fun to learn from, yeah.
Let's kick it forward to 1420. Melville, the sheriff of the Mearns and Glenbervie, was apprehended by a group of rival nobles. I mean, they resented what a hard ass this dude was. And so they took him and they stuck him in a big kettle and they boiled his ass alive. The real juicy tidbit about this one is that the co-conspirators each drank a spoonful of the results from the boiled alive sheriff.
You mean like with body matter mixed in? Like soup? Stock?
I mean, I imagine they weren't
water.
chewing. I think they're just skimming off like the top of the fat and gross of the dead dude and each taking a spoonful and drinking it.
I'm thinking that the body is like still intact, kind of like floating, like you know.
So it's like a really, really fresh human stock.
Yeah, and then the water's clear still almost, and you can just take a little spoonful of that and try it, just to try it, you know. Human stock, just try it.
Ugh.
Just asking you to try it with
It'd
one little spoon.
probably be better if they started like quartered, and I would assume. Oh yeah, goddamn, so gross. There is still a way in Europe that you can get intimate with this execution method if you are so inclined. All you need do is travel to the Dutch town of Deventer and take a look at an actual kettle that was used in reality to boil human people.
I looked it up. Not impressive. The most impressive thing about it is the amount of fucking bird shit that's covering it.
See, I had the opposite impression. When I saw the link, I was like, "Oh, I'll check that out." And I clicked on it and I was like, "Somehow this is creepier than I thought it would be."
Yeah. People are going to have to just go run and Google it. Dutch town Deventer kettle boiling alive. You'll see it.
Mm-hmm. Now I suppose we ought to get to Japan. There is one prominent case that I came across of boiling alive in Japanese history, and that is the execution of Ishikawa Goemon. Now, some may tell you he was a simple thief, but in Japan, he's become something of a folk hero. And in fact, Ishikawa was a real-life fucking ninja. Is this the first ninja in Dinner in Hell program history?
Besides the episode on the Beverly Hills Ninja?
Yeah.
Yes. If you don't count that, since it was fiction, then yeah.
Yeah, this is a real-life ninja we're talking about here. Now, he grew up a samurai. Now, we all know what that means.
Oh, God.
He had a little bit of a rough life.
Way of the youth.
Now, he was in service of a very powerful clan, but that clan was also ruthless. and engaged in warfare all the time, just sending out these people from the warrior class to repeatedly die over and over again. They would raid one another and shit like that. Well, after seeing both of his parents killed by a raid from a rival warlord, he renounced his titles and his birth, gave it all up, gave up his nobility, and took on a vendetta against all of the warlords. He also, of course, studied Iga ninjutsu,
which is
the type of ninjutsu that they study in Iga. I mean, we're talking like everything that you think of from Hollywood, like the climbing with grappling hooks and like fucking hiding in the ceilings and shit like that. All of that. This dude was like trained in that.
Like he's in a patch of like reeds in the water, but he's breathing through one of them.
Yep, all of that. That's all real,
like
and that's all stuff that they would train in. Absolutely.
I was watching this one special one time when they're training ninjas to do that. They're all underwater breathing through like this bamboo tube. And then the trainer, the lead guy, scattered like cayenne pepper, like hot pepper, whatever in Japan had, like blue clouds of it over it. So they're breathing in hot pepper under there. And that's part of their training. That's how badass ninja training is. You're breathing hot pepper. And then you're going underwater, like you're going to be like, that's all you're breathing is this hot pepper. It's not leaving the tube.
Yeah.
It's just
that would be rough to have to be like disciplined enough to endure that without coughing or like moving. I
know what you do. I hate to get this sidetracked, but what you do is put your thumb on the tube, drink the water you're in, rinse your mouth out,
blow it out.
Yeah, boom. Maiden figured it out.
Nobody will notice the stream of water shooting out of a bamboo thing for some reason.
No. You put your thumb over the tube, keeping the water out of the tube. You blow this shit out underwater. Put the tube back in your mouth. Whatever water's in there, you just swallow it down, screw it. Whatever. It's lake water.
Yeah.
It's a pond.
Little dab won't kill you.
If you're a ninja, come on.
Part of the ninja life.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, we're back.
So after this fucking cool-ass ninja attempts to assassinate a warlord by the name of Hideyoshi, he was detected by a mystical incense burner, whatever that means. But we know he was captured, so it wasn't good.
I imagine smoke goes towards, like, danger.
Or like maybe he was, like, moving and they saw the smoke from the incense react to it or something. Could have been.
Ninjas don't move. Ninjas can slow their heart down to like hibernating fish and shit trapped in ice.
Oh shit, I don't know about that. But evidently he was on quite a tear, like across the countryside this whole time because Hideyoshi had already taken Ishikawa's family prisoner. He had a wife and a son, and all three of them together were in public placed in an iron bathtub full of boiling water.
See, now what Brad's telling you is they were flash boiled.
Yeah, this was a relatively quick one.
They're put in boiling water. The boiling water was not raised to a boil.
Mm-hmm.
And with his son.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are we saying now?
At first, Ishikawa reacted by attempting to spare his son by holding him above his head in both hands. Now, unfortunately, he realized there was no end game for this, so in order to get it over with quickly, he then suddenly plunged his son entirely under the water to get it over with much quicker for him.
Just like we did earlier in our advice. Dinner Hell pro tip.
Mm-hmm. He then picked his son back out of the water and held him high in the air in defiance of his enemies. Eventually.
See what you did?
Yeah.
Is this what you want? My son is dead. My wife dead. I about to be dead.
That's what you're talking about earlier with the middle finger up while you're going out. Yeah, that's sort of what he's doing.
You happy?
You think a ninja is like, fuck you. That's how he's going out. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, he succumbed to the pain and his injuries and sank into the tub, dying.
We now honor the horrible death of you and your family. We now call this iron tub, this large cauldron, the Goldman Bats.
Yeah, they're named after him now.
Ugh. They honored him by naming what he was killed in
Yeah, I mean,
after him.
It's one way to live forever, I guess.
It's like the Brazen Bowl should be called like the Phalaris Bowl.
Yeah, could be. Now, unfortunately, this isn't the end of this scenario. I mean, in a couple of these execution methods we've talked about, they're still doing them. And boiling to death, unfortunately, falls into that category. I mean, for this first one, we have to hit it with a big allegedly.
Charles Manson executed in prison by boiled to death in Texas. Allegedly. I'm just kidding.
Well,
He's
allegedly.
alive. No, he's dead, right? Charles Manson's dead now.
Manson's dead now.
I think he just died, yeah.
Allegedly, the government of Uzbekistan in 2002 boiled to death in the process of torturing them Mirzakomil Avazov and Kusnudin Olimov, alleged members of an Islamic terrorist group in 2002.
This is how we do it here. Welcome to Uzbekistan. You want to be terrorists? We catch ya. We boil ya.
Allegedly, this happened.
Do you think we're going to go there? Going to be like, dinner in hell, huh? They stamp our passport. They'll be like, come this way. Throw us in a pot of boil. You want to spread rumors, huh? Yeah.
Like, fuck, why did I come to Uzbekistan?
Because we were invited for the government.
They tricked me. They said if I went there, I'd get a free boat.
No, like some other country invited us, but we had to like land in Uzbekistan and then hop back, and like they grabbed us there. Like,
on our way to Mongolia or something.
we're writing me and Brad are writing a movie right now. It's we're not gonna get into it, but yeah, this is part of the storylines. We get taken. It's a buddy film.
Yeah, it's set in 1634 Mongolia.
It's a buddy road.
Does get into Uzbekistan a little bit.
It's a buddy road film.
Another modern. Yeah, unfortunately, these assholes are bringing back a lot of shit that should be left in the past. But ISIS has also been known to boil people alive as an execution method. For them, this process generally occurs in engine oil.
From those big trucks they drive. Those
Yeah, I mean, you use what you got.
Toyotas.
Oh, do they have a fucking contract with Toyota or something? Where are they getting all these Toyota trucks from?
The employee like blue program. Like
There's some glitch in the computer, but those really good sales numbers we've been talking about, I'm sorry, sir, but we've got some bad news. We thought it was pretty weird that all of these were going to Syria.
My grandpa retired from Toyota. He's got a discount. You can use it.
Yeah. Got an awful lot of the Z-Plan or whatever.
Yeah, like this grandpa somehow sold like
70,000 trucks.
Yeah.
Well, for this, let's leave it to Abu Abud al-Rakawi himself to explain.
Yeah.
Some people were boiled alive in oil.
Sounds like,
oil.
but let me just say, it sounds like a classic Abu.
Oh, totally.
By the way.
Yeah.
Want me to take this one?
Sure.
Some people were boiled alive in oil, engine oil. They burned wood on a fire for an hour before throwing the victim into boiling oil. It's the Tunisians who were responsible for that.
That's really good. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's dead on.
I worked on that when I read that when I was on the toilet. Is that too personal?
Nah.
I do a lot of show prep there.
You don't know what you're doing. You could have been masturbating.
Hey, we don't talk about that. Maybe freaking what's her name from the Dahmer episode? Judith.
Would you say that you would come back at some point to our show in the future?
I will.
And what's the one word that you have no problem saying and Brad here doesn't have any problem saying that I kind of get rubbed the wrong way by?
Masturbate.
Okay. Well, Judith will be back on a future show.
I will.
Well, that's it. That's boiling.
classic Tunisian influence, torture influence. Those Tunisians. Hashtag Tunisian torture influence. Welcome, Tunisian listeners.
Yeah, that's probably already trending on Twitter. We can just hop on with that.
They're listening to us on a freaking chat, on a web cafe. I'm just kidding. Tunisia's like, who am I to say talk shit about Tunisia? I want to say something also to our listeners. By the way, the boiling program is over.
Yeah, it's done now.
I want to say sometimes we have South African people listen. Feel free to contact us. I've been to South Africa. I'd like to discuss South Africa with someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to. Doors open.
South Africa.
Where I've been. Like the cities and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Compare notes.
Looks like a beautiful country.
Yeah. I got a pretty good memory of it. I was there for 3 weeks.
Damn, that's a long ass
I
time.
lived there for 3 weeks. When you take like more than 5 number 2s somewhere, you lived there, man.
He would stand over the mannequin and masturbate.
And Judith, enough. God damn it. It's for all ages, this show, even though it's adult. It's for everyone. It's a pleasure. People in freaking Puerto Rico, Japan listening to us.
Welcome aboard.
They love our Michigan accent.
Hajime Mashite.
They're like, tell us about pop.
What kind of
We don't-
pops do you like?
In Michigan, soda is called pop and nothing else. It's pop in Michigan.
Yeah.
So that's a little joke for Michigan people.
Shit. That's all I got.
Oh my God. Well, next week we'll see you with the Charles Manson special episode.
Yeah, this one I think is going to be real fun. I find his story particularly fascinating.
If you like our Dahmer one and our Koresh one and stuff, the Hitler one, you'll like our...
I'm the Pope.
I'm sure this one will be right up there.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll have a good time.
I'm 10 times the Pope. I'm 50 times the Pope.
We had a great time in front of this audience.
They look beautiful. They've got just the kindest souls.
And this band is just a handful of just...
They're real hellions.
Oh, yes. Well, thanks for another good program.
Thank you for coming out and listening. Thanks for listening at home. Do you have any ideas for great shows? Let's hear it at Dinner and Hell Pod on Twitter. We're on Facebook, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher. You name it, we're on that shit. Google us.
If you want to advertise on our show, we can be reached at all social media platforms.
We'll respond in like 20 seconds for that and like 7 minutes if you just have a normal question.
Right. If you got money, move to the front of the line.
Thank you.